You're not thinking. You're just reacting. Elegantly. You say you're overthinking. You say your mind won't stop. You say you're just trying to figure it out. But here's the truth. You're not thinking. You're reacting, just with fancier vocabulary that lets you keep avoiding action. That's not strategy. That's emotional addiction wearing academic clothes. Every sentence in your head isn't analysis. It's emotion, trying to explain itself without looking weak. You dress it up. What if I fail? What does this mean? Why do I feel this way? But strip it down, and it's the same nervous system running a louder script. You don't want clarity. You want to keep suffering in a way that still lets you feel smart. You're not thinking to decide. You're thinking to feel better. And that's not clarity. That's emotional clutter disguised as insight. Mental chaos isn't confusion. It's too much unfiltered input running through a system that was never taught to shut up. You consume too much. You reflect too little. You react instantly. You question nothing. And you decorate it as processing because the truth is too uncomfortable to admit. But here's what cold mind knows. Clarity isn't created by thinking more. It's created by deleting what doesn't belong. Mental clarity is not a mood. It's a mechanism. And you're either building it or letting noise run your life. Why your mind is noisy and blind to the difference. You were never taught how to think, only how to react faster, how to sound smarter, how to explain your chaos in a way that looks intelligent. That's not clarity. That's performance. Here's the core problem. Most thoughts aren't thoughts. They're emotional loops dressed up as logic. You're not thinking through problems. You're narrating how you feel, trying to make it make sense. You've built an identity around being the deep thinker, so you never have to execute. That's why our inner voice isn't a thinker. It's a panic translator in disguise, because it's not trying to solve anything. It's trying to justify everything. You feel anxious. Your mind creates scenarios. You feel angry. Your mind rewrites the memory. You feel insecure. Your mind finds evidence to support the story. Doesn't ask, is this useful? It asks, does this match how I feel? That's not reason. That's confirmation bias on autopilot. So now you live in a feedback loop. Feel, think, justify, repeat. And the system reinforces itself, not with truth, but with volume. The more you replay, the more real it feels. The more vivid the scenario, the more seductive the false certainty. But detail doesn't equal clarity. It equals entrapment. You're not overthinking. You're echoing emotional residue and calling it insight. But you've learned to translate emotion into language so quickly that you can't see the difference. And that's the trap. You think clarity means thinking more. But cold mind knows. Clarity means thinking less and deleting faster. The Stoics never trusted emotion without audit. They filtered inputs, cut the noise, acted only when the signal was clean. Clarity wasn't a mood, it was a maintenance system. So here's your question. Are you processing a problem or just rehearsing emotion with better vocabulary? Because your mind can't get clear until it learns what not to think. Signs you're thinking, but not clearly. You're not stuck because you're not smart enough. You're stuck because you confuse overactivity with clarity. Your mind is loud, but loud isn't sharp. It's just busy. Here's how you know you're thinking without thinking clearly. 1. You're not reflecting. You're refeeding fear to your nervous system through more elegant phrasing. You say, what if I'd said it better? What if they didn't mean it that way? What if I'm just too much? But all these thoughts circle one thing: emotional discomfort. You're not solving, you're spiraling, polishing the same fear from different sides. 2. You ask questions your mind isn't designed to answer. Why don't they love me? What's wrong with me? What if it happens again? These aren't questions. They're mental hemorrhages mislabeled as introspection. And your brain can't solve leaks, only signal them. 3. You binge stimulation as if clarity is hidden in volume, not in removal. Another video, another quote, another voice. But the more you consume, the foggier it gets. Because clarity isn't downloaded, it's decluttered. You don't need more insight, you need less stimulation. 4. You mistake internal conflict for deep thinking. You say, "My thoughts are all over the place." But that's not depth, that's chaos. If your mind is full of simultaneous what-ifs and maybe nots, you're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking. You're overheating from emotional overcompensation. 5. You believe thinking harder will produce certainty. So you push, force, dig, but clarity doesn't come from pressure. It comes from silence, space, distinction. If you can't pause, you can't see. And if you can't see, you can't choose. Your mind isn't failing. It's overloaded. Not from lack of intelligence, but from lack of filtration. You're mentally hoarding, without architecture, filter, or exit plan. No discard function. No rule for relevance. And until you build that, more thoughts will always mean less direction. Because thinking doesn't make you clear. Deleting does. Stoicism isn't about calm, it's about system filtering. You've been told Stoicism is about being calm, being still, looking unbothered. But calm is not a state, it's the aftermath of precision. Because real Stoicism isn't about how you feel, it's about what you filter. The Stoics didn't meditate on peace, they trained the mind to ignore what didn't belong. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to be poetic. He wrote to sort thoughts like data, to identify what served him and remove what didn't. That's the real Stoic method, mental filtration. Not think less, but think cleaner. Not avoid emotion, but prevent irrelevant emotion from becoming input. They didn't resist the world, they just denied it server space. Here's the rule. If it's outside your control, delete. If it's emotionally reactive, pause. If it doesn't serve the next move, discard. Simple, precise, cold. You're not overwhelmed because you feel too much. You're overwhelmed because you've never filtered what deserves access. And that's what the Stoics understood. Clarity isn't a feeling you chase, it's a firewall you configure. So stop trying to be more calm. Start installing a mental firewall. Let thought pass through filters. Let emotion pass through logic. Let the world spin, without uploading all of it into your system. Because when clarity is the priority, you don't need to quiet the mind. You just need to clean it. Cold Stoic, 3 tactical steps for mental clarity. You don't need more insight. You need a cleaner system, because mental clarity isn't something you wait for. It's something you build. Cold Stoicism does this in 3 steps. No emotion, just execution. 1. Label or delete. Every thought you have either belongs in your system or it doesn't. But most people treat all thoughts as equal. That's the mistake. Here's the fix. Every time a thought enters, you ask, is this executable insight or leftover emotion in disguise? If it's signal, keep it. If it's noise, delete it immediately. No dialogue, no debate. Don't negotiate with cognitive clutter. Evict it. Just strip it of power by refusing to store it. 2. Discard the uncontrollables. This is the core Stoic filter. Is this within my control? If not, drop it. You don't need to understand it. You don't need closure. You just need to not carry it. Because what you carry mentally becomes what you carry emotionally. And what you carry emotionally slows down your clarity. Freedom of thought comes from subtraction, not from knowing more. Third act only. From neutral cold Stoics, don't act while inflamed. They act only when the system is still. If your mind is spinning, pause. No move, no message, no next step. Wait until the input is labeled, the emotion is reduced, and the response is clean. Then execute. Because speed is not clarity. Stillness is. Clarity isn't gifted. It's built like code. Filter the input. Remove the weight. Act from zero. That's how the cold Stoic moves. And that's why they're unshakable. Final message. Clarity isn't a mood. It's a mechanism. You keep chasing clarity like it's a feeling, like it'll arrive once the noise settles, once the chaos stops. But here's the truth. Clarity doesn't come. It's created. And it's not a mood. It's a mechanism. Mental clarity isn't peaceful by default. It's surgical. Built through filtration, not inspiration. You don't become sharp by thinking more. You become sharp by removing what doesn't belong. Thoughts that aren't yours. Emotions you didn't examine. Stories that slipped in because no one taught you to reject them. You're not confused. You're saturated with unverified code, running unchecked. And the Stoic mind? It doesn't seek stillness. It maintains it by choice, by rule, by deletion. Cold is not the goal. Control is. And control doesn't blink for comfort. Because once you run your thoughts like a clean system, you don't react. You architect. You move when it's time. And only then. That's not serenity. That's sovereignty. And if you still need clarity to feel safe, you haven't installed command. You've just renamed chaos. In the next video, we'll show you how to build a daily cold mind ritual to install clarity, purge noise, and think without emotional weight. Subscribe. Stop spiraling. Start filtering.